Grow with Duncan-Parnell. We appreciate your taking time out of your day to join us today. This is our next in our series in our asset management webinar focus that we've had for over a year now. As a reminder, this session will be recorded. That way you don't have to scramble and take lots of notes. And also we'll be passing this recording along not only to you, but the other folks who have signed up for this webinar as well. And you'll get an email within the next couple of days. It'll give you that link and whatever other information that might be appropriate. We certainly welcome your questions throughout the session. We would ask that you would use the chat window to enter those questions, and then we'll answer those as appropriate throughout the webinar, but also have a time at the end where we can answer those questions submitted via chat, but we'll also welcome you to unmute and ask verbal questions during that time as well. With no further ado, I want to introduce our Trimble water experts that are with us today, Jeff Smith and Michael Coffey. Michael is I call him a software engineer. I'm not sure what his official title is, but very knowledgeable on Trimble Unity and what we're focusing on today. I'll let him give some clarifications. We appreciate his time and hope this is helpful to you. So Michael, take it away.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So what we're going to demonstrate today is how Trimble Unity interacts with ArcGIS. So Trimble Unity can interact with either ArcGIS Enterprise, ArcGIS Server, or ArcGIS Online. So Trimble Unity provides a kind of a seamless integration into that environment. So first step we're going to do is show you how Trimble Unity can be integrated into your enterprise or your ArcGIS Online system. So I'm just going to lag out here. So when you connect into Trimble Unity to start with, if you haven't integrated with ArcGIS, you will not get this option. You just use your username and password login. But once you've actually integrated in, you'll see this little symbol here to log in with your ArcGIS account. So once I click on this here, it's then just going to ask me for my username and password. I can also use Okta, which is a single sign-on system, or Microsoft Azure as well. I'm just going to sign on here using ArcGIS Online. So once you are logged in, basically you're connected to both ArcGIS, in this case ArcGIS Online, and you're connected to Unity. So in order to configure this configuration, we just need to go to single sign-on settings here. And you'll see I've got one set up here already. So just click on this. So I won't go through the full process, but the first stage in the process will be to create an application in either ArcGIS Enterprise, ArcGIS Unity. In that, you will configure that app to put in a URL for Trimble Unity authentication for the web and for the mobile. And then what you do is you go ahead back to Trimble Unity, you fill in some of those details here, where you have your client ID, client secret, which you got for the application. You got your base URL, which you'll also get from Duncan-Parnell here. You'll see this is your base URL here. In this case, it's trimble.maps.arcgis.com. You can choose if you want to use ArcGIS Enterprise, ArcGIS Online. And you just put in your Unity username and password. And once I do that and save it, then the systems will be connected, and you just need to log out, log back in using your ArcGIS Online account, and then you can start configuring the system to use your ArcGIS data. So I'm just going to head and cancel here. So once we've connected up our ArcGIS Online system, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take you through how you can configure remote monitoring with ArcGIS Online our ArcGIS Enterprise, and then the second step, so I'll take you through how you can use work management using those same tools. So first step here, I'm just going to go to our admin and our app builder facilities. And when you buy Trimble Unity remote monitoring to start with, the app comes with the product. So in this case, we just need to be able to edit that app to connect it to your ArcGIS Online. And you can do that via a web map or a feature service. So if I just put in here remote monitoring, so I can do a search up here. You can filter my apps. So I can go ahead and edit this app. And once this loads, so here, what we can do is for our remote monitoring app, if I just put in here, search, you got, you can search for various web maps. So if I just Unity, and here you'll see that we already have one selected. So that's for clean and wastewater. So you can create a web map in your ArcGIS Online account. You can come in here and you can search for that. You also can do, if you've got a feature service, what you can do is that this will link to a ArcGIS server, and you can also use that to associate your data. So once I've selected the feature service I wanted, so let's go back to web map. I can just go ahead and if I have a dashboard, I can do the same thing. So I could create my own dashboards, which we'll cover in a little while. And then I just go next. And this is what you do is you just keep on going till you complete this out, and then once you do publish, that'll publish that data. Now, since this is already connected, I won't do that, but just cancel. So what this will do for you is two things. So when you're using your remote monitoring web map, you'll be able to see your GIS data. So now that we've connected up this data, I'm just going to go to my, we go to my apps, and the way Unity is configured is there is an app for each type of workflow you want to do. So the remote monitoring one is all around kind of monitoring assets in the field. So once I select this here, it will load up. So it's picking up my Trimble Unity remote monitoring sites here. And it's also showing me my map. And when I zoom in on the map, you'll be able to see the GIS data that we selected. So you'll see here that we have a whole set of GIS data loaded here. If I just zoom into this location, you'll see that as I zoom in, you get more and more details. So if I just click on the table of contents here, so when we selected that web map in our app builder for that remote monitoring app, what it did is it connected up to the web map that we have in our ArcGIS Online. So what you can do with your web maps is you can, like in this case, we created a web map with sewer and clean water for remote monitoring. If you only had clean water, you could just have a clean water data set here. The other thing is that all the symbology you see here is all coming from your web map that you created in ArcGIS Enterprise, ArcGIS Online. And all of the zoom levels are all coming from that same data set. And when I click on an asset here, So whatever data that I'm retrieving here, so if I just click on this water mains here, this is all the data that's configured via that web map. So what this is allowing you to do is display where your remote monitor devices are in relation to your network. And it also has the added advantage is that once I've done that, I can also now on my mobile device. So if this is a Samsung Active Tab, so it's running Unity Mobile. And if I click on remote monitoring here, so not alone when we do our ArcGIS connection in Unity to your backend, will you have data available to your web users, but you also available that same data available to your mobile users. So when I go here and click on Country Club, I can see that this here is connected to a hydrant, and I can see the network around it. So I can go ahead and click on that here. Same as on the web, I can actually click on any of these assets and it will give me details on those assets. The way Unity works with your web maps is that on a mobile, what it does is the system generates an offline cache that gets generated down onto that mobile. So the map data you've seen here can work all completely offline. You don't need to be attached to the network to view this data. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that monitoring site. So with this, I can click on my remote monitoring device on a mobile device. You know, if I want to look at measurements, I can just turn on pressure and view. But the beauty of this connected up to your GIS data is that you can actually look at this data here. And you can see kind of, you know, how that relates to the network around you. So because you have this GIS data set here, you can be looking at the data here and you'll know kind of if you have an alarm, you can see kind of the network around you and see what the potential impact of that alarm is. So now, one of the other things you can do, so the first step is we've connected up to ArcGIS Online. Second step, we've now viewing the web map. Some of the other capabilities will be kind of around kind of, so you have all this data in Trimble Unity. How can you use this data in your ArcGIS configuration? So with Trimble Unity, we can set up KPIs. So these KPIs are basically kind of key performance indicators to, you know, show your impulse counts, your outlet pressures, your you know, daily minimum pressure, daily max pressure. So it allows you kind of configure KPIs that you want to capture, and then this data can be automatically put into your GIS environment. The way you do that is, if I click on this here, so the first step in this process is you need to create a set of related tables. So if you look at these here, you'll see that I have KPI daily max pressure, main inlet. So what you need to do basically is you need to update your GIS system to create a related table for each of the types of assets that you want to collect this data against. So if you have a list of hydrant pressure recorders and you want to capture some KPI information against those the hydrants, you just first step is just to create related tables. We have a user documentation that allows you to follow a set of steps in order to create those related tables. And once they're created, then you just go back into Trimble Unity, and if I just look for kind of just look for pressure. So I can configure my, say, my max pressure here. I can go ahead and configure this. So what I can do is, because in my ArcGIS environment, I created up a related table where I said I want to capture the daily max pressure against hydrants. Inside Unity then, I can go ahead and click on a hydrant, and then it's going to ask me kind of, now you have two options. If you're not looking for a to create a history of what your daily pressure readings are, if you only want to store the latest value against the asset, then you can just create those fields against the feature itself. But the related table gives you so much more advantages in that you can then run this in dashboards, use it against ArcGIS Insights so that it can help you with your capital replacement exercises. So when I click on related table here, then it asks me which one. So you pick this one, daily max pressure. And then we store three values. We store the value or the reading. So in this case, the max pressure for that day, the time that was recorded, and the site was recorded against. And you keep on configuring these as required. And then the next step is to go to remote monitoring. So what the first step is in this process is we created the related tables. The second step is we have configured Unity to know that max pressure is to be stored against this hydrant related table. And the last step then is to identify which assets are to have associated with that reading. So what we're going to go do here is we're going to go back to Unity. And with this, you can configure which of those assets will be connected to your readings. So if I click in Country Club here, you'll see that we have our remote monitoring devices here. And you'll see I have a set of KPIs here. So for this Country Club, I have configured it so that we have a hydrant configured so that it will store the daily average pressure. And we have mains, which we have attached to it, that will configure any S2 impulse counts. So what this will do for us is that the system will update automatically those related tables with the, in this case, the for this one here, it's the average pressure. So what that allows you to do is that once you have that information, I can then use that information in ArcGIS Online. So in this case here, I've got a dashboard which is showing you kind of a SSO dashboard, which showing you kind of overflows, what caused the overflows, you know, kind of how many were over 10,000 gallons. You can see where those events are on the map. And if I just cancel this first to cancel this to show you the graph first. So this is just another one which showing you kind of flow data. So here, this is an ArcGIS Online. I've connected my ArcGIS Online account to Unity. So this is pulling all of my remote monitoring data from Trimble Unity using a feature service plugin tool. Then this here is showing me kind of my alarms over a period of time. So this is then showing me my min flows. So when we were doing those related tables earlier, this is where this data can be used. So I can look at my min flow, and I can also configure that just for a particular site. And then I can also look at my alarms, which shows me kind of, you know, how many are active, what type of alarms, so low alarm, battery alarms, etc. And I can also have KPIs. So in this case, I'm tracking what's the max pressure on this at this site for this year. Okay, so how you go about all this is I can just click on this here in the dashboard. I can do configure, and I can just do change. So here you see that we've configured Unity we've configured the ArcGIS Online to pull these features from Trimble Unity. So these are Trimble Unity data that's not copied into ArcGIS Online in this case, but it's merely kind of ArcGIS Online is going to pull that data automatically from the data set that's stored in Unity. So this is my impulses, sites, alarms. And then for those max flows, what I've done here is I've just connected to those related tables that we've populated. And then this data then can be used to show that in those diagrams that you have here. So to show you how, you know, kind of how you can filter those, I can basically kind of click on this here. I can click on alarm type, and you'll see that it's pulled all those alarms from Trimble Unity. So I can filter and say, well, I'm looking for a high level, and you'll see it'll update the data here automatically. In this case, there's none data. So that's one of the things I can do. I can also do this based on, you know, kind of, sorry. I can do alarm type. I can do it on what the source was. And I can do it based on the measurement and the site. So I just do site here, and this is equals. And here you see it's now pulling the sites directly from Trimble Unity. So this allows you to do a lot of configuration where, you know, kind of, if you want to, you can actually have, you know, kind of one of these graphs per sites, or you can just group those together as well, where I can just do 3 or 4 sites using this tool here to filter. I can do an and an or. So if I'm interested in a certain area, I can put my sites into one thing and then just have a graph of that entire area. That gives you kind of a quick overview of the remote monitoring site and your how you can use the data that's inside in Unity for displaying that on a dashboard. And it also shows you how you can use related tables where Trimble Unity is updating those related tables automatically, and that data can also be pulled in to a dashboard. So we're now going to move over to the section around work management. So in this case, I'm going to start off with the app builder. So with Trimble Unity, you have the ability to create your own workflows, create your own forms for data collection, and also create your own apps. So in this case, I'm going to create a form. And what I'm going to do with this form is I'm going to link this form to your GIS system. So in this case, I want to go out and capture a valve in the field. That's going to do valve 610 and just do, yeah, in this case, it's a valve, so I'm going to say that what I'm going to collect is a point, but I can also do a polygon or a line. I can get the system to automatically generate a PDF, and that would, when I close the work order, it'll generate a PDF. But the main points we want to cover today is how it integrates into GIS. So down the bottom here, you'll see Connect to GIS. So if I turn this on here, you'll see that these become available. So in this case, I want to connect to the Trimble Unity Clean Water Network. And I want to connect it up to my valves. So what I'm doing here basically is that I've linked to the GIS system. I've picked the service that has what I want to, which feature I want to basically collect. And then I've selected that as the, there is our options here where we can kind of force GPS accuracy, etc. But what I'm going to do now is, once I come to the screen where I'm going to design my form, I have a option where I can import all those fields, or I can select which ones I want to collect in the field. So I'm just going to drag across some of these fields here. So when I drag across facility identifier, that's the valve, that's the field from your ArcGIS. And I'm going to mark this as a required field and save, which means a person in the field will have to collect this field. I can select install date. I can bring across location. And I can bring across diameter. Now, when I bring across diameter here, you'll see that it's detected that this is a multiple choice. So what it's done is pulled the domains from your ArcGIS setup, and it is bringing those into Unity. So I can just go ahead and select those. I can also bring across my valve type. I can also mark that as required. So I can bring these fields across. So I can also do things where I can bring across operable, and this has got a true false. Now, I can also bring across turns to close. Now, what I can do in Unity is I can decide that this operable flag, if it's not operable, I can't do turns. I can't do turns close because it's not operable. So in Unity, I can make this field conditional, and I can say operable is true. So what I'm doing here is that this field here, turns close, will only become available to the field crew if operable it was previously set to true. Actually save. So what this allows you to do is that you can actually require the crews in the field to, have required fields in certain cases, and you can also show hide fields based on other criteria. Once I have my form created here, I can just give a title. Let's call it valve, and I go next. Now, if you have the GIS connector turned on with Trimble Unity, what this allows you to do is turn this thing on here. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to update your GIS automatically. So what I'm going to do here is I turn on my GIS. Now next it asks me, do I want to update geometry? Now the reason why you may not want to update geometry is if I'm out in the field, I'm creating a data collection exercise where I want my field crews to go out and do a data correction on my meters, but I'm not interested in actually getting an accurate GPS position. So what you could do is you could have update geometry off. So all they would be capable of doing is they can collect, the meter number, maybe the meter reading, and things like that. but meter manufacturer, but they won't be allowed to update the position. Their option here is update attachments in GIS. So if your feature that you're updating has attachments enabled, Trimble Unity will be able to update the photographs that you collected in the field and upload those into your ArcGIS Enterprise or ArcGIS Online. So we go down to the next section here. You'll see that it's automatically populated the fields here. So what this is saying here basically is this facility identifier is going to update the facility identifier in your GIS system. The diameter that you collect in the field will update the diameter. The valve type will update the valve type. If you have a hierarchy device like a Trimble R1 or R2 or R12, where you can get down to kind of centimeter accuracy, then you can also send to GIS accuracy information. So I can send the horizontal accuracy, your vertical accuracy, you know, kind of your H-dot, P-dot, number of satellites, when you captured it, latitude and longitude. So all this information can be sent to your GIS system. So I haven't selected the geometry field here, so I'll just go back here and click on geometry, GPS location. There. Let's go ahead and save that. Now, to show you how this works in practice, so this will show you how you configure it. What we're going to do is I'm just going to take you to a app that's configured for data collection. So I've gone back here, and if I go to my apps here, and we have an app here which has been configured to go collect some hydrants. And what I'll do is I'll take you through the process so you can see kind of how it works from start to finish. So I'm going to head and click on this app here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to first of all create a work order to assign this to crew in the field, and then we're going to get them to collect a hydrant. So I'm just going to zoom into this area here. And I'm just going to go ahead and what I'll do is, so if you're doing, so with Trimble Unity, you can do data collection where you're collecting new points. You can also do data correction where you're correcting data. So I can just draw a little polygon here. And this will show me some water valves and hydrants. So I can just go ahead and click on these two here, saying I want to go out and actually correct these. So I can just do create work order. And I can just put in data collection 10.6. So I can just give us an identifier. And you can give it a priority. I'm going to assign it to myself. And you'll see that those two assets being brought in. So I just do create. So what this has done is I've defined these two assets in the field I want to go out and do a data correction on. So what I can do now is I can go back to my mobile device. And I'm going to switch apps to the app I just created, just assigned that work to. So let's go to apps here. You'll see I have my clean map here. And all I'm going to do is do a trigger sync. So Trimble Unity is designed to synchronize every 10 minutes once it's got a Wi-Fi or a GSM connection. If it doesn't, it will work seamlessly offline until it's detected it has a connection to synchronize the data. So all I've done here is, rather than waiting 10 minutes, I've just manually triggered that sync process. And this will bring down my work order, but it'll also bring down any configuration changes I've made to the forms or any new workflows. So this is my form. This is the work order we created. And I'm just going to mark this in progress. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do ad hoc inspection. I'm just going to do hydrogen acid. So what this has basically done here is it's basically said I want to create a new hydrant. So I can give it a facility ID. I can say when it was installed. I can give a description. I can fill in rotation, who manufactured this, is it operable, is it enabled, active flag. So these fields, your kind of flow rate, and I can fill in other fields here. Once I've done, I can go. Now, if I had a hierarchy GPS device, like a R1, R2, I could just go ahead, just do capture, and that will capture the location and fill in my details in here with my what accuracy I achieved for horizontal, vertical accuracy, my height above sea level. But it's going to digitize this, so I'm just going to digitize this here and say correct. And I can just go ahead and save that. Now, for the ones where I have, I selected I want to correct them, you can see it's got a correct here. So if I go ahead and do correct, say hydrogen acid, you see that it's filled in those details for me that is already in your GIS. So what it's done is connected to the offline GIS database and filled those details in here. The only thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to say the manufacturer changed to US pipe, and I'm just going to go update its location. And with this, I can take a photograph any stage. So if I just want to take a photo, I can just go ahead, and in this case, I'm just going to take a photograph of the meter. Say OK. Now, didn't take that properly. So we can take photographs here, and once I have done this, when I sync the data with ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise, then if attachments are enabled, this would also be sent. So once I'm happy with that, I can just do save. And in this case, if I can't inspect it, I can just do non-inspect. So non-inspect would be, there's something parked over it, you can't gain access to it, etc. But once I've done that, I can just go ahead and complete, and I can sync back up. So once I've completed, I can then, the work order is identified as it's fully completed, and we'll remove it off the mobile. So we'll just wait for that to synchronize, and then that will just update the web. So you can see here it's already partially updated where it's the forms have been uploaded. We're still sending some of the data. So if I now go back here, so here you'll see it's now being marked as completed. I click my forms here, click on my hydrogen acid. There's information that's filled in, and I can go next. And here's the one we did, and here's the photograph we taken. once I've done that, I can, if I need to, I can go ahead and show you this. So if I want to, I can go ahead and edit this data. So if I wanted to, in the back office, someone looked at it and it goes, based on the photographs, I think it's put the wrong manufacturer, he could just go ahead and edit this data. And he could change it to US pub. I'm just going to say address there and just do update. What this does then is kind of allows you some kind of validation on the back end. Now, once I have done this, the next thing I can do is I can just do closed. Now, what close is going to do is close is automatically going to send that data to GIS. So if I now go back to statuses, look at closed, turn it back on, and if I look at the closed here, and what I'll do is, so it might take a few minutes, but let's see if it's updated yet. So this is the hydrant we just created. So here you can see this is the number, this is the date it was created, side of road, its rotation, etc. And then I can go to my ArcGIS Online, and if I just zoom out here, and so if I now click on this here, you can see in ArcGIS Online, it's been updated. So what this is showing you, kind of, we started off with a form in Unity. We filled in that form. We said it was connected to, kind of the example I gave you was a valve. We then said which fields we wanted to collect in the field. Then from there, we actually said kind of how those fields get updated into GIS. And then what we've done is we've created a work order in Unity. We've assigned that to the crew in the field. The crew in the field have basically kind of pumped in that information where they have updated it to create that new asset. That data then has, once they've marked all that data collection exercise as being completed, they've gone ahead and changed that information to, let's say it's completed, it's synced with the cloud. In the cloud, we showed how you could edit that data before it goes to GIS. And then what we've done, we've sent that data to GIS. So, and then this would be one that we just created earlier. We can see it's got different details. It's also got today's date. Now, so what we've done so far basically is I've shown you how you can create that data and how that data will turn up into your GIS. The next question then would be is, well, how does this get down to, I've made all these GIS changes, how are they reflected to the field crews? So I can come along here, and if I go to my GIS and asset config and go to manage, so I have my Trimble Sales Clean Water network here, and I can go ahead and edit this. So the way this works is that for the mobile field crew, you decide how often they need to get an update. So all this is doing here is saying kind of, I don't need to store the credentials in here because the system will automatically log into ArcGIS Enterprise or ArcGIS Online and use those credentials to generate the cache. There's also an option here to store them, and then there's no security, which would be a rare occurrence. Main things here is I can turn this on or off. So I can then decide whether I want to do a manual, a daily, a weekly, or a monthly. So the reasons why you may want to do it manually is that you may have a set process for updating the master in your Esri environment, and you don't want the cache on the mobiles to be done until after that master has been updated. Daily, kind of, if you're a small utility, you're out collecting data every day, and you want that data every day to be updated back down onto the mobile device, you can set it to generate the cache daily. Here you can see it's set to 12 o'clock midnight. I can change that to 4 in the morning. I can also set it to weekly. So here now you can see which day of the week you need to set it to, and I can also set it monthly. So you can say the first Sunday, set it to create at 4 a.m. I can also just generate cache now, so that means if I just want to regenerate the cache, then that will happen now. And then the last thing here is showing you the date and time when that cache was generated. So you can see kind of how out of date the mobile devices are against kind of the live version. So once I generate a cache, the system will, when the user on the mobile logs in, it will download that cache automatically onto the mobile device. And that, so like I said, kind of you can decide where you want that to be manual, daily, weekly, or monthly, and then you can set the date configs. So that deals with kind of how you can update your data into GIS and how you can keep the mobiles in sync with those reflected changes. The other thing to be aware of is you can split the data, so you can have the data that is, so if you want to update Unity to update a versioned copy, but you want the field crews to have a offline copy, the master copy, you can do that where kind of you can configure your web map is a copy of the master, and when you're creating your form, you can define that to link to the version copy, and then that would update the version copy, and then you can push the version copy into the master after review. So is there any questions?
I don't think we've seen any on the chat window now, but if anyone would like to unmute themselves and ask a verbal question, you're welcome to, but certainly can also add them in the chat window. Well, Michael, we certainly do appreciate that kind of comprehensive overview you've given us. Jeff, do you want to introduce yourself and/or add any comments to kind of review what Michael has shown us today?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Jeff Smith. I'm the Southeast Regional Manager for Trimble, and appreciate it, Michael, going through how Trimble Unity remote monitoring as well as Trimble Unity work management can interact with GIS, which was the subject of the presentation today. So the main thing is from the remote monitoring standpoint, for the folks that joined early, Trimble Unity remote monitoring is our application that's used to be able to see remote monitoring and IoT data from all of our different collections of hardware devices that can pick up pressure, impulses. If it's in a manhole, we can pick up flow level and velocity, rainfall, lots of different things like that. But what is really the power of Trimble Unity integrated with GIS, as Michael showed, is how you can deliver key performance indicators into your GIS. So not only do you see static GIS information, you're actually seeing exactly real-time network data like pressure and like flow and level, and have it be able to update your GIS automatically. So that was really the theme of the remote monitoring integrated with GIS. On the work management side, Trimble Unity can be used as a not only as a GPS data collection system, but also an asset inspection tool. And Unity is architected so that any data that field crews are inspecting or work orders, keeping track of time and material and things of that nature, can automatically update not only the GIS, but some other systems as well. And as a lot of you know, Trimble and CityWorks have joined forces. And this particular mobile application that Michael was showing at the end can be directly connected to CityWorks. So you now have a choice to be able to go out into the field and collect data, work order and inspection data in the CityWorks mobile app, or if there's any high precision data collection workflows, you can use the Trimble Unity mobile app. There's going to be some more information about that, probably another webinar coming down the road to show you how directly, instead of just integrated with GIS, how we're integrated with CityWorks as well. But that's really all I had. Hope you enjoyed this webinar. It was really just to show you the capabilities of how Trimble Unity Remote Monitoring and Trimble Unity Work Management are integrated with GIS.
So Jeff, we had one question pop in. You just now mentioned the integration with CityWorks. Someone's asking about, are there potential connections into Lucity? Yeah, there's possibilities there. Trimble Unity is integrated with, from a work management standpoint, we have an API that's built. It's our Trimble Unity Work Order API, and it can be configured to work with multiple different vendors. Right now, Trimble Unity from a mobile work management perspective is connected to SAP, to IBM Maximo, and several others, including CityWorks. Lucity, I'm not sure if we have a live site going with them, but the same Trimble Unity Work Order API can be used to be configured to update really any back office work management system. Great, thank you. Anybody else? Well, we've got a couple experts here. If you want to chat a question in, or certainly unmute yourself and ask a question, now is your time. Great.
Yeah, Michael is showing an example right now on the screen of CityWorks work orders and inspections overlaid atop our Trimble Unity remote monitoring sites. Great. Just as an example.
Excellent. Well, I don't see any more questions coming in right now, and we certainly will, at a later time, get a presentation that specifically focuses on the CityWorks integration. But for now, Michael, Jeff, thank you all so much for your time today, and for everyone who took time of their afternoon to join us. Again, you will be getting a recording of this for the next couple of days, but have a great rest of your afternoon.